Alrighty, so if you're watching this video, then that means Raikou is once again back in raid battles. This is one of those legendary Pokemon that you will not want to miss out on, and that is of course because Raikou is one of the best electric type attackers that are currently in the game. And I'm going to be explaining how you could potentially two-man this boss as well. It is pretty difficult, but in the right circumstances it is definitely possible. But yeah, I'm going to dive deep into that. Let's roll the intro and get right into it. And how's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Count here with another Pokemon Go video for you. Today I'm going to be giving you a comprehensive raid guide for Raikou. This is a legendary electric type Pokemon that quite honestly I feel like a lot of players tend to ignore, but this Pokemon is one of the best when it comes to electric types. It may not necessarily be the absolute best, that is of course going to go to Zekrom, but Raikou is still a very powerful Pokemon to have. And then on top of that, the shiny form of Raikou is also available, so it is going to be a very nice trade chip if you are able to pick up the shiny. But in any case, let's dive into the guide. So first and foremost, Raikou is a pure electric type, which means it's going to be weak against ground types. All of your very best ground types are going to be super effective against Raikou, and that of course includes Garchomp with Mudshot and Earthquake, Rhyperior with Mudslap and Earthquake, Excadrill with Mudslap and Drill Run, Groudon with Mudshot and Earthquake, Landorus with Mudshot and Earth Power, and then of course Krookodile with Mudslap and Earthquake. These are all of course the best ground type attackers, so honestly if you stack your team with any of these, you should be good to go. Now I mentioned at the top of this video that it is possible to two-man Raikou, although I would not suggest you trying it unless you have the absolute best counters, but if you have these specific conditions, you should be able to actually defeat Raikou with just one other trainer. If both you and your partner are both best friends, so you could utilize the friendship bonus, and then on top of that, if it is sunny weather, then you should be good to go to two-man Raikou. You will need a full team of Excadrill, considering that Excadrill is kind of like the glass cannon for ground types. It is absolutely imperative that you have a whole bunch of Excadrill, considering that with Excadrill you should be able to dish out enough DPS in order to take down this boss with just one other trainer. But again, it's going to be extremely difficult considering that Raikou does have a pretty high attack stat, and if it does have Shadow Ball, it's going to make it near impossible to two-man. But if you are not looking to two-man this boss, you can also just bring a whole bunch of your best ground types. I highly suggest you focus in on Garchomps and Excadrills, considering that they dish out some of the most DPS out of all of the ground types. The nice thing about Excadrill is of course because it does have Drill Run, which of course makes it easier for you to get a few more charge attacks off before it gets knocked out, and of course because it's a glass cannon, you will likely see it get knocked out pretty quickly. But if you want to go for more survivability, I highly suggest going with Groudon. If you go with just 2 Groudon as your leads, for example, if you have more than 3 trainers in that raid group, you will be able to defeat Raikou without having to go beyond those 2 Groudon. That's just how well-rounded Groudon stats are, but if you are looking for that extra bit of DPS to defeat this boss a lot faster, then yeah, go with Excadrill or Garchomp. Now of course at the time that I was recording this video, there wasn't really any Mega Evolutions that you could utilize in order to defeat this boss, because ground type Mega Evolutions are pretty rare, if not non-existent. So yeah, when it comes to Raikou, just power up a lot of your best ground types and you should be good to go. Now of course when it comes to weather boosts, Raikou is boosted by rainy weather. So if you're looking for weather boosted Raikou in order to get those XL candies, then rainy weather is when you will want to go out and raid. Unfortunately, none of your Pokemon are going to benefit from the rainy weather boost, so just make sure you have enough trainers in order to defeat this boss. You may be required to have at least 4 to 5 different trainers in order to beat it in rainy weather, but yeah, it may be worth it considering that weather boosted Pokemon are going to give you more XL candies. In terms of Raikou's perfect IVs, you will want one that's 1972, and if it's weather boosted, you will want to look for one that's 2466. Now like I mentioned earlier, Raikou is a very powerful electric type attacker, so if you do not have a whole bunch of good Zekrom, then Raikou is actually going to be a really good choice. So aiming for those perfect IVs is not a bad idea. Raikou is always going to be very well rounded and useful in a lot of different circumstances, so if you still do not have a really good Raikou, then I highly suggest you go out and raid as much as you can. In terms of Raikou's movesets, these are where Raikou really stands out. It could have either Thunder Shock or Volt Switch as its fast moves, and then its charge moves, it could have Thunderbolt, Thunder, Wild Charge, or Shadow Ball. If you're going up against Raikou, the charge moves that I would say you would want to look out for is of course going to be Wild Charge and Shadow Ball. Wild Charge may not necessarily be as threatening considering that it is an electric type move, but it does dish out quite a lot of damage. Now Shadow Ball is of course going to give a lot of neutral damage up against all of your ground types, so Shadow Ball is definitely the one that you will want to look out for. I think the best movesets to have for Raikou, once you catch it, is of course going to be Thunder Shock and Wild Charge, but I've seen players use a lot of different other charge moves like Shadow Ball in different situations. But yeah, if you want a really good Raikou that's going to be extremely useful, look for one that's going to have Thunder Shock and Wild Charge, or at least use up all of your TMs until you get these particular moves. And I really have to reiterate this, Raikou is potentially doable with just 2 players, but it is extremely difficult, if not impossible for the average player. I found that I've had the least difficulty going with at least 4 trainers, so that could be your benchmark if you're looking to raid a whole bunch of these in a row. Like, go with at least 3 other trainers, or have a bunch of trainers that are ready to accept remote raid invites. Now, to be honest with you, I really don't know if Raikou has any sort of significance in PvP. I know a lot of players have meddled with him in the Master League here and there, but I think Pokemon like Shadow Zapdos tend to outperform Raikou all the time, especially if you're going to end up using a legendary in the Great League or the Master League or even the Ultra League. So if anything, Raikou is always going to be a raid DPS attacker or a gym attacker, so yeah, do consider that when you're going after Raikou. It's not necessarily going to be one of the best in PvP, but it's certainly going to be extremely useful in PvE. But of course, like I said, there is Zekrom, who is the absolute best electric type attacker right now, so if you do not have a good Zekrom, then Raikou is going to be your absolute best second option. One final note regarding Raikou, this is actually my personal favorite legendary in the game. I really enjoy Raikou, and it's actually kind of funny because the best Raikou that I have, a perfect IV Raikou, I actually caught on my wedding day, so it has a lot of personal significance for me. And yeah, I would like to max out Raikou just because of that, but of course getting a whole bunch of XL candies has been very difficult, so make sure you're going out and raiding this when there is a weather boost, and make sure you're inviting your friends as well, because that is the absolute best way to get XL candies in this game. So yeah, with all of that said, I would love to know your thoughts regarding everything Raikou. Do you have a really good one? Do you have a whole bunch of shinies in your arsenal? Let me know down below. I really hope you found this video to be helpful, everyone. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if it's your first time here, share this with your raid mates and all of your friends who are looking to get a good Raikou. And yeah, that's gonna be it. I am Count Jinsula, be safe, have fun, and I'll catch you all later.